She thought she was doing me a favor by clearing out the dusty plastic junk from the attic. But now, she has learned the legal definition of grand larceny. The wooden steps leading up to the attic of my childhood home have a specific groan. It's a sound I've known since I was 6 years old, a high-pitched creak on the third step that always signaled I was about to enter my sanctuary. It was January 9, a Thursday. I had taken a week off from my job in the city to come visit my dad and his wife, Brenda, in the suburbs. Life had been hitting me hard lately. Rent was up, student loan interest rates were climbing, and my bank account was looking terrifyingly lean. I wasn't just here for a visit, I was here on a mission. I reached the top of the stairs and pulled the chain for the single, bare light bulb. The yellow light flickered to life, illuminating the dusty rafters and the insulation pinks and grays. I took a deep breath, expecting to smell that familiar mix of old cedar and cardboard. I walked toward the far corner, the spot under the dormer window where I had stacked them. 5 large, industrial-strength black storage bins with yellow lids. I had bought those bins specifically because they were waterproof and crush-proof. Inside those bins was my retirement fund, my safety net, my obsession. I stopped. The corner was empty. I blinked, thinking maybe the light was playing tricks on me. I took a step forward. The dust on the floorboards was disturbed, smeared in wide arcs where something heavy had been dragged. There were no bins. There was just a rolled-up yoga mat and a stack of home and garden magazines. My heart didn't just drop, it evaporated. Inside those bins was a collection I had started building when I was 5. We're not talking about played-with action figures missing their heads. We are talking about mint condition, carded Star Wars figures from the original Kenner run. We are talking about a binder of Pokémon cards from 1999, complete with a first-edition shadowless Charizard that I had graded as a PSA 9. That single card alone was worth more than my car. There were sealed Lego sets from the early 2000s. The conservative estimate, the sell-it-quick price, was $10,000. The wait for the right buyer price was closer to $15,000. I spun around and ran down the stairs, nearly tripping over my own feet. I burst into the kitchen. Brenda was standing at the island, chopping kale. She was wearing Lululemon leggings and humming a tune. She looked up, smiling. "Oh, you found the attic," she chirped. "Doesn't it look so much better? The feng shui was so clogged up there with all that clutter." "Brenda," I said, my voice barely a whisper. I was gripping the back of a kitchen chair so hard my knuckles were white. "Where are the black bins?" "The what?" "The black bins with the yellow lids. They were in the corner. They had 'Do Not Touch' written on them in Sharpie." "Oh, those," she waved her knife dismissively. "I cleared those out yesterday. I'm turning that space into a meditation nook. I need clear energy flow, and those boxes were just full of old toys and dust." "Where are they?" I asked, my voice rising. "Did you move them to the garage?" "No, silly," she laughed as if I was being ridiculous. "I decluttered, I donated them." The room spun. You donated them?" "Yes, to the Goodwill on Route 9. I dropped them off yesterday afternoon. You should feel good, Noah. Some poor, underprivileged children are going to get to play with those dolls. It's a tax write-off, too. I think I got a receipt for $50. $50, I repeated. I felt like I was going to vomit. "Brenda, that wasn't junk. That was my collection. There was a Charizard in there worth $5,000. There were Star Wars figures worth hundreds each. That collection was worth $10,000. Brenda stopped chopping. She looked at me, her expression shifting from cheerful to annoyed. "Don't be dramatic. They were plastic toys from the 90s. They aren't worth anything. You haven't looked at them in years. You should be grateful I cleaned up your mess." "My mess?" I screamed. "That was my property. You had no right to touch it. Dad told me I could keep it there." "Well, it's my house too," she snapped. "And I don't want hoarding in my house." I didn't wait for her to finish. I grabbed my keys off the counter. "Where are you going?" she asked. "To get my life back," I yelled over my shoulder. "If they sold them, Brenda, I swear to God." I ran out the door. My dad wasn't home, he was at golf, of course he was. I jumped into my car. It was 11 a.m. She dropped them off yesterday afternoon. Goodwill usually processes donations within 24 hours. If I was lucky, they were still in the back sorting room. If I was unlucky, they were on the floor. I drove like a maniac. The Goodwill was 4 miles away. I ran 2 yellow lights. I laid on my horn at a sedan doing the speed limit. My mind was racing, cataloging the inventory. The Blue Eyes White Dragon, the sealed Boba Fett, the GameCube games. I pulled into the Goodwill parking lot at 11:15 a.m. It was packed. I parked crookedly in a spot near the donation center around the back. I ran to the donation door first. "Hey," I shouted at the guy manning the bins. "My stepmom donated 5 black bins yesterday. Yellow lids. It was a mistake. I need them back." The guy, a teenager looking bored, shook his head. "Yesterday. Those would have been processed this morning. If they aren't in the trash, they're on the sales floor. We put fresh stock out at 10 a.m. I ran around the building to the front entrance. I grabbed a cart, just in case. I sprinted past the clothing racks, past the used blenders, straight to the toy section against the far wall. I scanned the shelves. I was looking for the telltale black plastic of the bins, or maybe the items had been unpacked. I saw a pile of loose Barbies. I saw some puzzles. I saw a bag of Mega Blocks. But no Star Wars, no Pokémon binders, no bins. I frantically looked around. Maybe they put them in the glass case at the front, the valuables case. I ran to the front counter. The glass case held a fake Coach purse and some costume jewelry, nothing else. "Excuse me," I grabbed the arm of an employee walking by. "Did you put out any boxes of vintage toys today? Star Wars, cards?" The woman frowned, thinking. "Oh, the black bins. Yeah, those went out about an hour ago. We priced them as bulk lots because we didn't want to sort through all the little cards." "Where are they?" I asked, looking at the empty floor. "They're gone, honey," she said. "Some guy bought the whole lot. He was waiting at the door when we brought the cart out. Didn't even open them, just looked at the top and said, 'I'll take it all.'" My knees felt weak. "A reseller," I whispered. "What did he look like?" "Tall guy, bald, driving a white cargo van. He literally just walked out the door 5 minutes ago." "You might catch him." "Hey," I screamed, waving my arms as I ran across the asphalt. "Stop, that's mine." The man paused. He was big, maybe 6'2", wearing a faded heavy metal t-shirt and cargo shorts despite the January chill. He had a barcode scanner hanging around his neck, the mark of a professional flipper. He held one of my bins in his hands. I skidded to a halt in front of him, gasping for air. The van was half full of junk, but right there, front and center, were my 5 black bins. He had paid, judging by the orange stickers on the side, $8.99 per bin. $45. He paid $45 for $10,000 worth of merchandise. "Whoa, buddy," the man said, sliding the bin into the van and turning to face me. He crossed his arms. "Back up, you're coming in hot." "Those bins," I panted, pointing a shaking finger at the van. "My stepmom donated them by mistake. Yesterday, I just got here. That's my collection, it's my property." The man looked at me, then at the bins, then back at me. His eyes were cold. He knew. He absolutely knew. You don't buy sealed bins of vintage toys without knowing you hit a gold mine. "That sucks, man," he said, his voice flat. "But I bought them. Receipt is in my pocket. Transaction is done." "I'll buy them back," I said quickly. "Right now, what did you pay? $45. I'll give you 100 cash right now." The man laughed. It was a dry, rasping sound. 100. "Kid, I saw the top layer of the first bin. There's a first edition holographic Charizard in a slab. That card alone is $1,000 in this condition. And I saw the Kenner bubbles. This lot is a 5-figure haul." He knew. My heart sank. It was a mistake, I pleaded. She didn't know what she was doing. Please, I'll give you 500. That's 10 times your investment. That's a great flip. $500 for 5 minutes of work. No can do, he said, reaching for the van doors. I do this for a living. This is my unicorn find. I'm going to piece this out on eBay for the next 6 months. This pays my rent for a year. Sorry, bro. You should have watched your stuff better. He started to close the door. I jammed my foot in the gap. You can't take it. It's stolen property. She didn't have the right to donate it. That's a civil matter between you and her, the reseller sneered, pushing the door against my foot. To me, this is a legal purchase from a registered charity. I have the receipt. Possession is 9/10. Move your foot or I'm calling the cops for harassment. I looked at his face. There was no mercy there, just greed. He saw dollar signs. He didn't care about the sentiment. He didn't care that I had saved my allowance for 3 years to buy that Millennium Falcon. Please, I begged, tears actually forming in my eyes. I need the money for tuition. This is my life savings. Then you should have put it in a bank, he said. He shoved the door hard. I pulled my foot back instinctively to avoid it being crushed. Slam. The van doors locked. He walked around to the driver's side, hopped in, and started the engine. I stood there helpless as the white van backed out. I memorized the license plate, J4K99L. He drove away. I watched my net worth disappear onto Route 9. I stood in the parking lot for 5 minutes just breathing. The rage was gone, replaced by a cold, calculating numbness. He was right. He had the receipt. The Goodwill transaction was legal. He was a bona fide purchaser for value. I couldn't sue him. He didn't steal it. But Brenda did. I got back in my car. I drove home. I didn't speed this time. I drove the speed limit. I needed time to formulate the text to my dad. I pulled into the driveway. Dad's car was back. He was home from golf. I walked into the house. Brenda was in the living room, showing Dad her new meditation space, photos on her iPad. "Oh, Noah is back," Brenda said, rolling her eyes. "He threw a fit because I donated those old boxes." My dad looked at me. "Son, what's going on? Brenda said you ran out of here like the house was on fire." "She gave away my collection, Dad," I said calmly. "I went to Goodwill. A reseller bought it 5 minutes before I got there. He knows what it's worth. He refused to sell it back." "Well, it's gone then," Dad sighed, trying to keep the peace. "Look, I know you like those toys, but maybe it's time to grow up. We can give you a few $100 for the trouble." "A few $100?" I laughed. "Dad, I had a certified appraisal done last year for my insurance on my apartment rental. I brought a copy of the inventory with me because I was going to sell a few pieces." I pulled my phone out and opened the PDF. I handed it to my dad. "Look at the total at the bottom." Dad put on his reading glasses. He scrolled. He paused. $10,450. "That's the replacement value," I said. "And since Brenda removed property that was legally mine, property you explicitly told me I could store here, and disposed of it without my permission, she committed theft. Conversion, legally speaking." "Oh, stop it," Brenda scoffed. "You aren't going to sue your own family." "I gave the reseller an offer," I said to Brenda. "He turned it down. So now I'm giving you an offer. You can write me a check for $10,000 today and we forget this happened. Or I go to the police station right now and file a report for theft, and then I sue you in civil court for the maximum damages plus legal fees." "You're bluffing," Brenda said, crossing her arms. "Your father won't let you." I looked at my dad. He was looking at the appraisal list. He was looking at the first edition Charizard, $4,500 line item. He looked at Brenda. "Brenda," Dad said quietly, "did you really not ask him before you took them?" "I wanted to surprise you," she argued. "The attic was messy." "Dad," I said, $10,000 or the police. I'm not kidding. That was my house down payment. Dad rubbed his temples. He knew me. He knew I was meticulous. He knew I wasn't bluffing. We don't have $10,000 sitting in checking, Brenda, Dad said. That's coming out of the vacation fund. I am not paying for old toys, Brenda shrieked. Then I'm calling the police, I said. I tapped 911 on my phone but didn't hit send. Last chance. The room was silent. Brenda looked at Dad. Dad looked at the floor. Write him the check, Brenda, Dad said. You threw it away, you pay for it. Brenda screamed. She stormed upstairs. We heard doors slamming. 10 minutes later, she came down with her checkbook. She wrote the check so hard the pen tore through the paper. She threw it at me. Take it and get out. You are ungrateful. I picked up the check, $10,000. I'm not ungrateful, I said, folding it into my pocket. I'm just an adult, and adults face consequences. I left the house that day. I deposited the check immediately. It cleared. I haven't spoken to Brenda since. Dad calls me sometimes. But it's awkward. He told me Brenda tries to bring it up every day, casting herself as the victim. As for the reseller, I check eBay sometimes. I see my items popping up. He's making a killing. It stings to see my Charizard listed for $6,000. But then I look at my bank account and I realize I got the money without the hassle of listing fees, shipping, or negotiating with buyers. In a weird way, Brenda did me a favor. She liquidated my assets instantly. But I'll never forgive her for the Lego Death Star. You can't put a price on that. So viewers, was I the asshole for forcing my stepmom to pay up? Or should she have known better than to touch my stuff? If you have made it this far and want to see more videos like this, then kindly subscribe and turn on notifications so you may never miss an